Hey guys, welcome back. It's Triforce. I know I was just streaming like a couple of minutes ago. We're back again. Well, I'm back with a friend of mine's, and something that we want to have a conversation about. And if you are diverse, if you're globally diverse and have an open mind to how things are it's seen in the world, this is the right stream for you. If you're really kind of closed-minded and only interested in the status quo, you may want to leave the stream because I don't want it to offend you. If it does offend you, well, you were warned. So yeah. Anyway, hey, what's going on, Cami? So welcome, guys, to the stream. As you can see, today's topic is called expanding esports outside of its commercial image. And what that's about is when you look at esports, when you literally take the time to say, okay, what is esports, and when you associate the image with esports, you really think a bunch of Asian people playing video games and white people playing video games as well. That's the commercial image. But the reality is that everybody on planet Earth plays video games, casually or competitively. And during my travels, I've been all over the place and I've seen all ton of different gamers from the Caribbean, North America, definitely the people I deal with in Africa, and the UK and so forth. Iran just literally had its third video game big mega tournament, so to speak, and so and what's the word for this? India had a tournament not too long ago, and China is now getting into video games and so forth. So the image of esports just being a white and Asian only is literally no longer becoming commercial. It's literally fading away because everyone in the world is getting involved. So with me, I have a guest on the show today, Emmanuel. What's going on, Emmanuel? How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How's everything going?
Things are going. They're doing well. We're doing well. Getting ready to go
Hmm.
to the Video Game Hall of Fame in November. So we're doing our campaign trail. I'm here in Jamaica right now, so we're really trying to get our team ready to go down there and really celebrate this monument and monumental occasion. It's going to be the 36 years for Twin Galaxies, 35th year for the Life magazine photo shoot, and then the class of 2016 International Video Game Hall of Fame, along with some tournaments and stuff like that. So we're going to go down there. We're going to really celebrate the legacy of like the birthplace of esports, which is Atumwa, Iowa's Twin Galaxy. So, but
Yeah, man. That's good. That's gonna be amazing. So,
yes, it is. I'm doing my best to help really kind of do my part to contribute to it. So uh, that's where I stand on the whole issue. But I brought you on the show not really to talk about me, although it kind of includes me because I'm African. But I really want to talk about the other ethnicities that aren't really promoted in esports per se. Don't get me wrong, we do have champions in esports that are minorities, Dominican, players out there. Then you have, black players out there. So just to name a few, everyone should know about Rafiq when he went to South Africa and he beat Fatality back in the days. Then you have what's the name of this thing here? You have Sanford Kelly. He won Evo in 2009. Then you have who else? Sonic Fox. You have a bunch of guys and so forth. So, but those guys are really not the norm. You see what I'm saying? They're really not the
yeah,
norm.
yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Yep.
I don't want to. I don't want to use the word token, but
Hmm.
you know, people who are not Caucasian or Asian are rare when it comes
Yep.
to in esports, especially making a major influence in the
Right.
scene. The-
Yep.
you don't have guys at the level of Fatality that are like black. You don't have guys like Faker that's like Indian or something like that, or Native American or Indigenous or Arawak. You don't have those guys. You have some great champions, yes, but not to those guys level. And I really want to discuss this. How can we expand esports um, you know, outside of its normal commercial image.
Right. So first of all,
Hmm.
you have to look at. where esports kind of came from. Esports wasn't always out there like it is now. Like the thing is, you got ESPN promoting it, you got Twitch promoting it, you got all these different entities promoting it, and it's growing and it's getting crazy, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to be $1 billion industry. So the thing that you have to think about first is, where do most of these people get their start? Most of them get their start on Twitch, because that's where a lot of people go to see other people play games. I mean, the whole point of esports is you're watching somebody else play a game. So it starts off with Twitch.
Yeah.
So when you look at Twitch and you look at the most popular streamers on there, how many of those streamers are of any minority at all? When you start going through and saying, okay, I want to look at this game, or I want to look at this game, look at this game. To be honest with you, the only ones that I've ever seen, and I watch a lot of Twitch, the only ones that I've ever seen that are like at the top of their game are all pretty much playing the same game. They're all playing NBA 2K. And
Why is it? Why is it that like? Why is it that though? Like we're known for like sports games.
I I don't know why it's so predominant. I think it's got a lot to do with a lot of people's backgrounds, because if you grow up, around people that all play NBA 2K, Madden, those type of games, then that's what you're gonna know. That's pretty much where you get your start from. So that's what you're always gonna fall back on. But the funny thing about this is, what you're saying about esports
Hmm.
is that there's obviously some kind of market for this, because I don't know if you know this, but the NBA has now sponsored NBA 2K and said that we're going to create our own esports league, and every single NBA team has a side esports league that goes along with the team, where they're going to pick five of the best NBA 2K players, and they're going to have each team have its own NBA 2K team, and they're going to play a whole season along with the regular season in NBA, and then they're going to have a playoffs and a championship, and they're going to have finals and everything, just like they do in the regular NBA. So there's obviously a market for it, and somebody saw that and said, okay, let's take advantage of this.
Hmm.
But why is it just that one specific set of people? I personally believe that is the stigma that may come along with being quote unquote a gamer. It's still not to the point where you can go out and go to anybody up on the street, say I'm a hardcore gamer, and be accepted. A lot of people still laugh at it. They still call you names. They may call you a nerd. They may call you this. They may call you that. And I know in my personal community, growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, you didn't really want to be seen as that. You wanted to be seen as the cool guy. You didn't want everybody to laugh at you and make fun of you and this and that. So it's hard for you to put yourself out there, let alone get a group of people that want to put themselves out there and then take it to not even a national level, but a local level, to where they're starting to go up and compete against these other guys that have been doing it for a lot longer than them. The start is just a completely different background to start off. And I don't know what will change that, but I believe that's where, this is originating from, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Let me read something to you from the stream. We got a guy in here called Apollo Red, right? And
Hmm.
he's going in a binge, and he's naming a bunch of black players,
Yeah, I see
right?
that. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
says Punk is black, Low Tier God is black, Tasty Steve is black, Sonic Fox is black, Ryan Hart's black,
Yep.
Perfect Legend,
Yep.
Larry Lur, Snake Eyes. I don't know why Edica's in this. We're talking about esports, but he mentions all these guys. Now, see that
He
this
probably
is
said that because I was talking about streamers, and yes, Etika is a popular streamer, but he's not an esports contestant. Go
yes,
ahead.
and one of the major issues that is that this topic. Whenever we bring up the topic of ethnicities, it always gets blurred. People
Yep.
try to pull the topic into different directions so that the narrative or what we're talking about becomes convoluted, and soon no one even knows what anyone's even talking about, because it's not even about that anymore. So
Right.
the first thing I want to say is that, first of all, most of these people that he named are all from one particular genre of esports, which is fighting games. And within that genre, fighting games is actually the lowest on the totem pole in the esports ecosystem. And the majority of the fighting game community is mixed. It's the fighting game community is like the true representation of what America is. It's a
Yeah,
melting
it
pot.
is. You're right.
It's an
Yep.
actual melting pot. So the reason why he plucks out all these black people is because they're all from the melting pot area of the esports scene. But let's compare that to the world. And when you make that comparison to the world, you end up finding out that, like, Okay, Call of Duty. All right, not even close. League
Right.
of Legends. Not even close.
Exactly.
Hearthstone.
Yep.
Not even close.
Nothing.
And we keep going on, and the issue is, why is that? Why is it that other ethnicities are found diversely in the FGC, but not in the other esports genres, so to speak? So yes, in the first-person shooter community, I don't think anyone can name me five non-white first-person shooter champions or gods outside of Rafik. If there's someone else, perhaps I guess if you not Karma, was it, what is his name? Carbon. If you want to go to Gears of War, I'm like, we had a Gears of War team, Team Legacy, which also turned renamed to Infinity when World Cyber Games was around, and that team was most multi ethnic. We had a Middle Eastern person, we had a black guy, we had a Hispanic guy, and we had a white guy on the team. So J Ribs, Jordan, Mephisto, and then you had Richie. So we had a diverse team, but our team was the most diverse team in the entire League of Legends community. That's crazy. And
Hmm.
I was kind of proud when we won the World Cyber Games, because it's like I wanted to show the diversity that, like, we need to include everyone. It shouldn't be inclusive. But when you look at MOBA, when you look at RTS like StarCraft, when you look at first-person shooters, when you look at Hearthstone, when you look at these games, even when you look at FIFA, look at FIFA on
Yeah.
the grand scale, the
Right.
majority of these players is, oh, we have a donation coming in from Lethal Gaming. Wait, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the donation, man. I really appreciate it. But when we look, he says, "Sup, man, I've been following quite a while. Thanks you for what the community. Hope you get what you need for the trip." Yeah, we really appreciate that. Well, I think if we continue our campaign for the next 24 days, we'll make the well, not 24 days, 16 days, we'll make it. So, well, I really appreciate that. But getting back to the point, when you look at those other genres, it is dominated by Caucasian people and occasionally any other Asian players. But like minority players such as Hispanic, African, or indigenous is really found in sports and fighting games. And
Right.
I refuse to believe that we're only in that genre because that's the only genre we're good at. That I
Right.
know is a lie.
That's that. No, that can't be the case because I know plenty of people that play League of Legends,
Mm,
Dota, Overwatch, StarCraft. All those different games. I know people that do that, and
exactly.
they're good at it.
And I don't understand it. Like, how come we don't have other? I wonder, like, when people invest, do they when people invest in these esports teams, do they take it upon themselves to say, let me go and recruit and look for these other great champions?
Right.
And Sonic Fox is like, it's kind of crazy because Sonic Fox is like he's the exception to the rule. And the reason why he's the exception to the rule because he's the most dominant Mortal Kombat and Injustice player ever. So
Hmm.
is that how it works? Is that the only way for minorities to be able to rub shoulders with the elites in the esports scene? Is that they have to literally be the dominant? But then if that's the case, then we as a people, as an ethnicity, won't get through. You'll just get the one or two guys in the cracks, the token champions that are gonna
Right.
get through. And I don't think that's fair. Hey,
Right.
we got another donation coming in from Mythical Bubbles. Sold my PC to get some moolah off of it. Expect some more donations in the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Mythical Bubbles. I appreciate that. Show love. So, how do we help change that? How do we help expand that? Especially when my team, Empire Arcadia, I've always pushed my team to focus on in inclusivity, getting
Right.
everybody involved. Our team has Indian people in it. Our team has had West Middle Eastern people in it. Different religions, Muslims, Christians. It doesn't matter. We've had everyone in our organization. How do we get Empire Arcadia to? How do we get other teams to adopt the Empire Arcadia image, where it's a
Well,
it's a human esports team?
Right. There's two things to this, and I see Apollo's comment where he says you have to be the best. That is one really good valid point because if you're not good at the game, then there's no point in you being involved in esports. But another part to that is this is getting to the point where esports is about to become a business. And once it become a business, they want a certain, I don't want to say demographic, but they want a certain
Image.
picture,
They want
image,
it's a
yeah,
certain image. Yeah.
to go along with the slogan of this is what esports is. And a lot of people, especially specifically in the NBA 2K community, because if you watch the streams, like there's a lot of, I don't know how to say it, but there's a lot of different like vulgar stuff going on, and just not like the right representation of people that you would want to see on a like stream that you want to put on ESPN. But that's not the specific image that they want to see. And then when that's all you see from those different demographics, then it's like, how do you pick out the ones that aren't, like those that stand out? Um, and it does go back to Apollo's point. You have to be really good, but I think you have to be really good and you have to present yourself in a way to where you can be marketable. If you're not marketable, then nobody's going to pay attention and say, "Hey, you deserve a spot to be, nationally recognized as being part of our esports team." For example, look at Blizzard. Blizzard is now paying people on their payroll to have Overwatch teams. This just recently happened like a month ago. They started announcing who was going to be on what team. I
Wow.
don't even need to look at it to see what demographic of teams that they pick. They could care less if I mean these guys are really good at the game. Now, I'm not taking anything away with how much time they put in, what they've been doing over however many hours a day they play in this. Now I'm not taking anything away from that, but you can't tell me that the look that they have and the way that they carry themselves doesn't play into how they get recognized in the esports community. Because the esports community, like I said, is not about to become a business. It's not about the love of gaming anymore. So,
No,
that,
it's definitely not about the love of gaming. That's got nothing to do with it. It really
yeah,
has nothing to do with that.
right, right.
But now, when I look at so when you bring up marketing, right? When you bring up marketing,
Hmm.
because some of the issues I had back then, some of Empire Arcade's most prolific sponsors only sponsored the team because we had Justin Wong. Hence, they didn't sponsor the team based on what the team's accomplishment was about,
Right.
nor about what we're trying to do. They didn't care about that. They only
Hmm.
cared about sponsoring a particular player to be associated with their brand. And I've noticed in my 16 years of esports that when it comes to black players, a lot of companies are not interested in sponsoring black players. Smaller, mid-sized companies or real tiny companies, yeah, they'll do it. But major companies, nah, they're not really with it unless it's a black athlete
Right.
that who's
Right.
decided, I'm just gonna sponsor. And even like, okay, so how many
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up too, because
mm,
I remember reading last week. Now you got Shaquille O'Neal, Jennifer Lopez. You got all these celebrities now sponsoring esports teams. So it's interesting that you bring that up. Go ahead.
so and I've been looking to I've actually gone to I've gone to Puff Daddy back in 2013. I
Hmm.
tried going to Puff Daddy to see if he was interested in investing into an esports team. I tried to reach out to Jay-Z, and it's very difficult. and and that's because we're not the traditional esports team. No, well,
Right.
let me not say we're not the traditional esports team. We are the traditional esports team. We're not the modern esports team. And
Right.
and and,
You
and
don't have a certain look.
yeah, we don't have a
Hmm.
certain look. The CEO has dreadlocks and he wears a power glove. But I thought it was more about what we accomplish within the field. We're the number one most documented tournament winning video game team on planet Earth. We have like 11 Guinness World Records as a team, right? I don't even know
Yet
how many.
nobody's reached out to you.
I don't. I wouldn't say no one reached out to us. People have reached out to us, but look what you said: Shaq, Jennifer Lopez, and
Right.
no one of that caliber has reached out to us. Now, some people. So for all the haters out there, let me give them a nod to the head. They're like, well, Triforce is your image or the way you carry yourself or your reputation or whatever the case may be. But a lot of these things is just accusations and stuff like that. And I would want to believe that a company looks more at in this day and age, what you've accomplished rather than the drama that goes on in the world. Because in this day and age, drama sells. So
Yep.
that doesn't,
Yep.
having a bad reputation or checkered reputation or a good reputation, none of those hinder you from advancing because it's all about the spin, like you said, marketing. So if you know how
Hmm.
to market, it doesn't matter whether good, bad, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. That can all be pushed to properly, get you out there. And I just, for us as a team, it's never gone that way, which is not a problem because the way I built the team, our team is built to survive what I call post-apocalyptic esports. So there will be a crash, but it's not to say esports will end. It's just that I have this timeline thing that I put out there, right, about how esports works. So the start of esports started with Walter Day, the founding father, with Twin Galaxies. Um, that's the first company to actually be formed to take competitive gaming and turn it
Hmm.
into a sport. Prior to that, it was just competitive gaming. It was never
Right.
a sport. But Walter Day created Twin Galaxies, and as a company, took that. The whole infrastructure was built and outlined, not to promote and sell a video game, not to promote and sell a video game company, solely to promote the competitive aspect of the game and the players behind it, the context to the sport itself. So that was and then Guinness gave them a world record for it as the oldest adjudicating video game organization in the world, i.e., the first esports organization. That would make Walter the father. So, but when you look at the way they set their things up for esports then and the way esports is set now, we're undergoing the final months of the industrial esports revolution.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just like America. Before America went through an industrial revolution before it becomes the modern America we know now. Prior to that, it was just regular America. So you
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? So when Walter built it, it was just regular esports. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then now the big corporate companies are coming in and they're investing money, venture capitalists ballooning this stuff, and they're now industrializing esports. So what Walter Day did, he created an infrastructure that turned competitive gaming into a sport. And what the suits are doing today is that they're industrializing the infrastructure Walter Day built to make it a sport into a commercialized sport, which is what we now call modern esports. So I say this because I want to give people some type of clarity of what is it we're talking about specifically when we're talking about esports. And what's going to eventually happen is because this is being industrialized, there's going to be a cataclysm. There's going to be something that's going to go bad, and it's just not going to be what it's supposed to be. It's going to take a dip, but then once it takes that dip and you can buy the market out and monopolize the market at pennies on the dollar, then you're gonna have like three or four companies that just own everything, and then they're gonna
Right.
bring it back up. This is how it's been working for the last 300 years. This is just how business works.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
I built our esports team to transcend that apocalypse when it comes. That's how much foresight and vision I have. I talked to Walter there about it. He's like, "You actually see that coming too?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Wait, you know that?" And so, but the fact that Walter knows that, the fact that I know this is why we kind of build our organizations the way we built them. Walter Day is no longer the running Twin Galaxies. He retired from it. Jace Hall, CEO of Echo Fox, he now runs Twin Galaxies, or owns it at least. So in terms of that, companies like Twin Galaxies and Empire Arcade will survive the apocalypse, but a lot of these teams won't. But I'm trying to find out what companies would be interested in a company like ours that is diverse, right? That's diverse in the people that's involved in it. We're versatile in how we market ourselves and the games we play. Empire Arcade doesn't. A lot of people go, "Oh, Empire only plays fighting games." That is not true. If you even look at this thumbnail, that's our FIFA team. We have a FIFA division down here in Jamaica called the Silverbirds, and they're like they're the Caribbean's best FIFA team. Um, Not only statistically, I can go in as much as say just skillfully. They are our best FIFA players in the Caribbean. And as you can see, we play FIFA, we play retro. We're trying to get our league team going. We play Splatoon. We tried to start Overwatch, but we never got into that. We've had players that played Hearthstone. We played in the America's Cups down here on Hearthstone 2 years ago. We've had a got we play in all different games, all different genres. It's just that the reason why we're known the most for fighting games is because we've won 13 Evos. Like if you dominate a genre and you win 13 Evo championships, of course everyone's gonna recognize you from that. But I don't want people to get the misconception that that's all we are, because
Yep,
we're
that makes
not.
sense.
So my question to you is, how does a team like us, big on accomplishments, small to the people that matters, how do we get the attention of these other people? How do we get the support we need so that we can flourish and thrive, so that we can help expand this entire concept of diversifying esports?
You just have to keep pushing, just keep pushing, and keep trying to
Oh,
promote
come
yourself and
on,
keep.
man. Why we gotta get the hard road though? Why we
That's
gotta?
that's that's how it is for everything. I mean, there's not one significant achievement that a minority has ever had that didn't have to go from completely from the bottom and go through every obstacle that there is in front of them and actually not only knock it down but completely destroy it or eviscerate it, as the word you like to say, to get to just the same level as where everybody else already is. That's just the nature of the beast. I don't know when that's ever going to change. And in today's America, it's not going to go anywhere with the
Right.
way things are right now. I mean,
That's why I'm
it's
glad
probably a horrible time to have something like that happen. But
That's why I'm glad I'm in
aside from that,
Jamaica.
go ahead. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand. But aside from that, all you can do is just keep grinding and keep promoting. I mean, you have the resume. The resume is there. It's just a matter of who the right person seeing the resume at the right time. Because at some point, I guarantee
Mhm.
that there's going to be some corporation out there, because once, like you said, before this apocalypse happens, somebody is going to capitalize on the fact that they're going to see, hey, why is there like all these different people, but there's no people that look like them? Why don't we just get like a team, and these guys might even be that good, but we'll just get a team to like show that we're trying to be diverse and try to, say that, hey, we're giving these guys a chance too. And those guys are going to be the vehicle that kind of opens it up, but they'll probably suck at whatever games they end up playing because they're probably just going to get asked to do it just to fulfill a block and not even really mean anything to the community. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely understand what you mean from that. In fact, me going into the Hall of Fame, I was informed that I'm the first African to go into the to be inducted into the International Video Game Hall of Fame. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to take that lightly. I don't want to take that as like, oh, the straight token, or here's yet another black person who does something first. I want to do that. I want to take that and do something with it, so that it means something of significance. And next year, I plan to literally go to Africa, and I want to do seminars and help other regions. I'm going to be doing this in Jamaica as well. I have an event I'm going to be doing in December, for with Digicel, in terms of helping the unfortunate down here and the hungry and the poor. And I'm going to be helping them, and I'm going to try to use the accolades of not only my personal achievements but our team's achievement as a whole to help inspire other people to rise to greatness, and then take that and go to Africa, to go to India, and go to places in the world that looks like me, which needs this help, to help them build and fortify their esports ecosystem as well. Because
Right.
like in Africa, so in South Africa right now, they have an esports scene, and there's a big esports tournament that happened in South Africa earlier this year. 98% of the entire attendance was white,
Mm.
but you're in Africa. That's
Right.
crazy. You're
Yeah, that is
in
crazy.
Africa, and 98% of the attendees is white. Now, I'm saying 98 because I'm being nice. The guy who gave me that number said he was in there. There was like about 30,000 people there, and he only saw three black people there. So
Wow.
in reality, it's 99.9%
Right.
Caucasian. But I just want to give him the 2%. And that doesn't, like, you're in Africa. How is that even possible? And like, is the people who are doing esports in Africa, are they even involving the natives of the land, or is this just the commercial image they want to push?
Right.
I believe that as a person of African descent, that I have an obligation to try to do my part to make that change. Now I know some people are going to be out there, yeah, but Triforce, like the majority of South Africa is white. Yeah, I know. Why? That doesn't make any sense. That's like going into a European region of Caucasian people, and then the population is 99% black. What? Like that doesn't make any sense. Imagine that. Hey, I've been to Spain, and you know something? 99% of the people are African, black, darker than
Yep.
you. Triforce, you'd see them like that's a problem. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's Spain. What? What? So like, why? I don't understand that would be a problem in Spain, but that's not an issue in Africa. Like, no, come on, let's behave ourselves here. Let's behave ourselves here, all right? So, but like I said, I have an obligation, and I'm gonna take me being inducted in the Hall of Fame very seriously, and I want to really use that to actually help uh, my people specifically, and just other people in general. It's not just about black people, Hispanic, Jewish people, which that's kind of funny because I don't know whether Jewish is a political stance or ethnicity. I don't know how that works because I don't really get into the stuff like that. But they're
Right.
considered a whole set of people. So you have Jewish people, but like I said, Dominicans, Jewish people, indigenous people, and just people of all walks of life. Because I think esports should just be one melting pot. This
Right.
image of just white and Asian people being good at video games, that image needs to be destroyed. We
Yep.
really shouldn't push up with that. Well, I'm going to give you the last words before we close out on here. But I definitely want to thank you for coming on, Emmanuel. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your donation. So I'm going to let you close the floor with this before I take a break, and we'll come back later on to play Xenoverse 2.
All right, no problem, man. All much love. I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community. I told you that from day one. Um, it's funny like how I found you, and here's this story really doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about right now. But I'm gonna tell you the story of how I found out who you were. Basically, I started watching the CND stream about how he was waiting 30 days for the Switch, and then you went and helped him out. And that kind of a little bit plays into what we're talking about because if you think about it, CND was probably the last person that you would expect to see standing on the corner in New York for 30 days by himself. Like that dude had no business out there. But you took it upon yourself, regardless of what he looked like, regardless of the image that he presented, and went over there and helped him out and showed him, hey, this is how you do this. This is what you need to know. This is, how you keep from getting mugged, beat up, or have something bad happen to you over the course of this time. You took it upon yourself to do that. So that in itself basically says that you open a door or you have an open door policy when it comes to diversity and trying to bring other people into the world of what you like to do. And that shows outside of you actually having to promote it. You don't have to promote yourself or be marketable for that to, be shown. And that's the type of people that we're going to need to be able to promote esports in the minority type communities. The problem is, I just don't know if there's a lot of people that had that specific combination of skills, marketability, being able to present themselves, talk a certain way. They don't want people that are just going to go and embarrass the company or whatever financial backing they have. They don't want to be embarrassed by the type of people that they put out there to say, hey, this is who's representing us. So until we show that, hey, you can do this, you can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to be like everybody else around you. You can play video games and make a living. You can be part of an esports team, and you don't have to look like these people. You can do anything you want to do until people actually see that by I think you're just basically going to have to take the team and start going and winning esports tournaments. Like you're just going to have to really just take them and go in and just start knocking down doors, just like we were talking about earlier. Eviscerate people, and that's the only way that it's going to break through. But if you don't do it before that mainstream breakdown happens, to where they notice that hey, there's not a certain demographic of people here. Let's let some random people in. Then it's going to be a missed opportunity if that makes sense. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that.
No, that definitely makes sense. And I guess we're gonna have to just keep fighting and keep trying to push our team. We'll make it though. I'm confident that we'll make it. But thank you for coming on, Emmanuel. I really appreciate your time here. You serve in the military, correct?
Yeah, I've been in 20 years as of last week, actually. So I'm about to wind it down and get ready to retire. And once I retire, then I'm devoting myself to the gaming community, kind of like the same things you're doing.
Ah man, we need to talk. We definitely need
Yeah.
to talk, man. But
Yep. Yep.
I want to thank you one more time for coming on. Here's something for you. Look on Facebook. There's a you can put in the search bar soldiers that game. There's a lady called her name is called Karen Houston. She runs
Okay.
that thread. It's this is well, she runs that group. It's a group in Facebook where all people who've served in the U.S. Armed Forces of any branch that plays video games. Yeah, you'll find a lot of people there to your liking. So
Oh,
shout
I bet,
us.
because there's gamers all around me. Yeah.
That's good. You definitely want to. Every time I meet somebody who meets who served the U.S. military, I always send them to that page. So
Okay.
don't forget, soldiers that game, and you're looking for Karen Houston. She's the person who runs the or I think it's Houston. I'm sorry, but we call her Miss K. But you definitely want
Okay.
to check her out. All right,
All right. Right
thanks
on.
for being on once again, and thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, guys, we're gonna take another break. We will be right back, and don't forget that we're going to be streaming Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 later on tonight. We'll see you guys later on. Peace.